Welcome to the Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. We are the brother-sister anime duo. Not in a love you like a brother-sister kind of way, but as in go ask our mom. She's the same person.
This show is an anime lover's safe haven catered toward the average anime lover, free from spoilers.
So today's episode, we're going to be talking about Blue Exorcist Season 3, the second half of Season 3, episodes 4 and 5.
So there's your spoiler if you haven't seen those yet.
Alrighty. So we've dive into Shura's childhood here. So Shura, of course, is the very blessed in the chest woman of the anime, as we'll put it like kindly.
The fan service, like I guess you get with Nami or Robin from One Piece.
Yeah, but so she's got the red and yellow hair, which I always kind of thought, like, if you think about it, from Demon Slayer, she's like the reverse Rengoku of, because his hair is like yellow with just a little hint of the red on the ends, and hers is the exact opposite. Hers is mostly red with the yellow just on the tips. So that's just kind of the character that reminded me of.
It's very interesting character design, but Blue Exorcist probably would have come out before Demon Slayer, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know manga-wise who came out first. I think Blue Exorcist has been around a lot longer than
probably,
Demon
because
Slayer.
hasn't it gone on like a how many year break since but yeah. Anyway, speaking of Demon Slayer and Flames, I know this is a little off topic, but look, we got our poster from the last episode hanging here. If you're listening to audio only podcast, we just hung a poster. That's all we're talking about here.
Not just any poster, our poster.
Yeah.
With our logo and our little anime characters ourselves on them.
That's right. Our little podcast cover photo. So anyway, getting us back on topic here. So what do we have to talk about about Shura? We're kind of in this little arc where it's just focused on her.
Yeah, so it's cool that we're kind of getting to see her childhood, like how she was raised. So Hachiro raised her, and Hachiro would always call her Tatsuko, which is the name of the original woman that he made the pact with. So he's kind of training her in the Kirigakure style, which is like the name of her sword, like her demon sword art. And he seems like he's pretty rough with her.
Makes you wonder what kind of relationship that is, like where he's like, he loves her, but then he's also rough with her. Like makes me kind of like curious, like what does he want here?
Well, I guess he doesn't treat her any better, like as an adult. I was wondering, well, does he treat her any better as an adult? Not really though. But anyways, so she's kind of a troublemaker during her young years, and she causes a lot of trouble in those nearby villages, right? So
yeah, and they even had a name for her. I believe it was called, is it Baba Yaga? How do you pronounce that again?
The Baba Yaga.
Okay, thank you.
So the villagers called her a Baba Yaga.
Which was interesting. I was like, what in the world is this? They didn't really I don't think they really talked about it much, did they? But you looked into it?
Yeah, so they didn't explain it at all in the anime, but I did look it up because I'm like, what the heck does this word mean? Why are they calling her this? So it's from a Slavic folklore for like a witch or an ogress who cause mischief.
Ogress? Is that just like ogre except a female?
Yes.
Really?
Yes.
She's a pretty hot ogre.
I mean, as a young kid, like she's not
like ogres from Shrek or other like.
She was the ugly duckling that grew into a beautiful swan.
Okay.
But
a witch or an ogress, those are like totally two different things.
They were also known to kidnap children and would threaten to eat the children. So that's what a Baba Yaga is.
Okay.
And Shiro, who is Rin and Yukio's dad, adoptive dad.
Yeah.
he actually calls her a Baba Yaga as well.
I feel like he was almost like, it's like, oh, so you're the Baba Yaga. I don't know if it was in that kind of way of saying it. Like he had heard it from the villagers, got complaints, so he went searching for her. I'm not entirely sure how well you remember that part, but I interpreted it as like, oh, so you're that I've been hearing about.
Yeah, he also said, like, who's this Ashura looking brat? Which I also had to look up what Ashura was, because I didn't know what that meant either.
Yeah, what does that mean? I have no idea.
So it is a powerful or wrathful deity in Buddhist cosmology. They're considered a demon warrior, and typically they are depicted with many arms and faces. So, I mean, she doesn't have a bunch of different arms, so...
So this is really interesting. You said, this last one you said Buddhist, right? Mm-hmm. And before we had... Slavic. What other... Were there any other religions or whatnot that we got into? With kind of like this folklore?
The last episode, we kind of just talked about Christianity and the different
the natural of... So it's interesting how you have... They're sort of bringing in these three different religions here. Really religions in general, because you also talked about they also go through the nine-tailed fox, which that has like Japanese religion in there. How many different anime out there do they have the nine-tailed fox? Like this is just, it's not like this is originally created from anime. This is based on like, religion or whatnot in Japanese culture.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So there's at least four ones that I count just off the top there. Maybe there's some other ones that we haven't, picked up on either.
So Hachiro is very protective of her when Shiro shows up and like grabs Shura and is like, who is this little brat? He appears and demands that Shiro leaves her alone and says, this one belongs to us. So I know we've been saying he a lot.
Yeah. We had this talk before, like before we even started off camera. How are we going to refer to Hachiro?
Yeah, because he refers to himself in the plural, but like you see Hachiro on screen, and Hachiro refers to himself.
You said it. We keep saying he and himself, but we said before we started, we're like, okay, we don't know. We'll use the pronoun that I just said it. They use for themselves. Yes. They refer to themselves in the plural as if there's like multiple entities inside one body, I guess.
Yeah.
That's hard. Yeah. That's hard. It's so hard to explain this.
It is. Just grammar. But
yeah.
Okay. Do our best.
So Shura falls in love with Shiro after he rescues her. This gets a little strange, but I guess is sort of what she's always been taught that she needs to do, right? So she sees him and just thinks that he's the one that she's gonna bear children with.
She's so like creepy and just immediately just jumps on him and is like, you're gonna make a baby with me, make me your wife, mister.
Again, he's just creeped out, like you are just a kid, like what are you talking about? But of course Hachiro, this is sort of what they want, then gives permission for her to go with him, thinking, well, okay, this is, this is what'll happen eventually.
So Shiro leaves with Shura, and he's like asking her questions, and it's like, well, what's your name, kid? And she just doesn't say anything. He's like, you're meaning to tell me you don't have a name? So Shiro actually ends up giving Shura her name. So I'm assuming it's a shortened version of Ashura, which is what he had been originally calling her. Like, he didn't even realize Shura was a girl at first, so. So to find out that she wanted to make a baby with him was extra surprising.
Well, in that she even knew, kind of understood sort of that process a little bit at that age. I mean, what age do you think she was at?
My guess would probably be like 10.
Again, describes Shiro's kind of creeped out by this, like what is going on. But of course, when she's a child, she knows she has to do all this, and then by the age of 30, does she know she's going to die by the age of 30 when she's that young?
I think she's always known that she only has 30 years to live, and she has to pop out a baby.
That's such a deep thing to be thinking about at that age. By the way, when she like came on to Shiro when she was older, like, and he started taking off his shirt, what did you think was going to happen there?
I was hoping it was not going to go in a creepy route. I was worried that it was, but it was very, very gentlemanly. Like, cover yourself up.
I thought so too. I'm like,
that made me a little nervous.
He's going to give into this. But
I mean, you saw, like, I don't know if you paid attention. He has posters of women in bikinis in his office.
Oh, I didn't catch that.
So
that's funny.
It's not like he doesn't like that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know, watching somebody grow up is probably a little bit of a turn off.
Sure, yeah. Well, it's, his daughter. But, I just think, because sometimes in anime, they just have some of these taboo topics sometimes. I'm like, oh, no, are we gonna get into this here? And they didn't. So
yeah, I was so relieved. Like, no, Shiro, come on, man. You're supposed to be the good guy.
Yeah, which of course he is
the good
still.
guy.
Yeah, he's just a little edgy, but he's overall very good guy.
So we get to see some of Hachiro's abilities here. So Shiro was surprised with his mind control abilities. He had they have never shown her that ability before. The reason why they don't use it very frequently is because it causes their mind to wither.
And I wonder if that's why Hachiro just doesn't seem to understand. He keeps, what does he keep calling Shira again? What's Tatsuko. Why he keeps calling her that, and they keep saying she's not Tatsuko.
So Hachiro is under the belief that, like, this is Tatsuko. It's just her reincarnation. Okay. So they're very into the belief of reincarnation. So every new female that's born is just Tatsuko in a new form.
Okay.
In order to use his mind control abilities, he has to be making eye contact with the person. So he has to be able to catch their gaze. It
kind of reminds me a little bit of the Sharingan a little bit from Naruto. And actually, I think if you look closely at his shirt, I don't know if it was just me. I thought I saw something that kind of looks like those, what do you call those three sort of dots like a Sharingan has. If you look closely, his shirt has something that kind of looks like that. So I don't know if
Hachiro?
On her shirt, yeah.
I didn't even notice that.
Yeah, and I forgot to say anything about that till just now. But yeah, again, it's, you have to look closely at it. But I think that maybe they got some ideas from that, perhaps.
Yeah, that would be cool.
He controls snakes, so I don't know if that, any inspiration from Orochimaru or not, but
maybe.
I don't know, like a combination of Sasuke and Orochimaru.
I think those two kind of came out at the same time, so I wonder which one's older.
Could be.
I'm not quite sure. I know, of course, Naruto was a lot more popular than Blue Exorcist.
I just noticed, since we talked about Nine Tails, which they sort of went through in the past arc, and now we're here, and I'm like, yeah, there's probably some, going to be some, cultural things that we see.
Oh yeah, of course.
But anyway, Hachiro tries to make Shura mate with Yukio with that mind, controlling ability. What did you think was going to happen there?
I knew that they were going to be able to prevent that from happening because I don't think Blue Exorcist ever gets that dark.
I didn't think so either, but I was kind of like, ooh, how far are they going to go with this? She's like, got her hand on his belt, and she's like, or what, wiping her hand down. And
so aside from the mind control and all the creepy, uncomfortable things he's making people do, he also has, of course, his snake transformations, which we talked about, and then he regenerates extremely fast. So pretty much as soon as they cut him or set him on fire, he's like back to full strength again. But that poses the question. So I reframed this question a little bit based on, because we'd already be pretty close to 30 at the age that we are now. But if the offer was made for you to have fast regenerative abilities like Hachiro and be able to summon a demon sword, but in exchange for 30 years of your life, so like from the time that the deal was made, you have 30 years to live and then you die.
I think I talked about this on our last episode, where I thought, this sounds like a terrible deal. Where you only get to live until you're 30, or even another 30 years. It sounds like a terrible deal. Why would she take this? So there's my answer. No.
Yeah.
What about you?
Maybe it changes things being the age that I am now, because then 30 years from now, I'd be like late 50s, 60s kind of range. Yep. So then like everything's achy. Anyways.
That's all the longer you plan to live, huh?
It's like you might as well just have life never be painful ever. I mean, you still experience pain, but it's like not long term. It's very short term. So I don't know. I mean, I think there are some pros there. I think maybe I'd consider taking that deal. But what would you choose, our audience? Like, let us know what you think. Would you take a deal like that? Like 30 years from the day you make the deal. Are you taking it or no?
At the Kamado show, tag us.
Yeah, please do. But Yukio ends up making a proposal to Hachiro, basically kind of like, hey, let me take Shura's place. If you don't make a new contract, Shura's going to commit suicide, and then you're going to lose her forever.
Because how do you kind of get him to renegotiate this contract? And that was a really interesting approach, and a very interesting side of Yukio coming up that I want to discuss here a little bit later.
It was definitely kind of surprising, kind of some of the things that he said and proposed. Like, it made sense that he would try to talk Hachiro into voiding the contract with Shura and transferring it over to him to at least get that seal off of her, so it would kind of remove that 30-year deadline for her.
Sure, yeah. She's for sure done with it right now. They took it off of her, and it's off for her for good.
Right.
So I know this is where my question was, because I know they started to put it on Yukio, but he never finished, right?
Right.
So is it just
Rin stabbed him?
Okay, so it's not on anybody now, right? It's completely gone.
Right. Everyone's free, which was probably as kind of discussed by Shima, the pink-haired spy that we found out in the past couple episodes. Like, oh, Yukio, were you disappointed that Rin didn't wait just a couple seconds longer to stab him? Like, you could have had that regenerative power and like the demon sword.
Well, it makes you ask the question, like, how much do you value having the power, but you also, die in an early age too. So yeah, I don't know. But then of course he ensures that he himself would get Shura pregnant, which was also,
everyone around them was just like, what the heck
Yep.
is this guy saying?
Which kind of made me kind of consider like, oh man, could those two be? Because we talked about the love triangle with Yukio, Rin, and Shiemi on our last podcast episode. But it's like, Yukio and Shura.
I don't know, because they basically kind of grew up as siblings in a sense, and now Shura's kind of taken on a guardian role of those two boys, and she still kind of views them as kids too.
Final question: Do you think he was disappointed? Do you think he would have liked that?
I think with the way that things have been progressing with him, like he's trying to become more powerful and not need Rin or like surpass Rin. I think he was disappointed that he wasn't able to get that seal put on him.
And Shima. So now, whose side do you think he's on? Because he also kind of hinted at, you could still join the Illuminati.
It's kind of similar to Mephisto's stance. I feel like he's kind of enjoying playing both sides and getting to be on both sides. I think if push came to shove, ultimately he would choose the good guy's side.
I think so too. This scene also revealed that Shima is Mephisto's spy. So in our last episode, we were talking about like, Mephisto knew that he was doing dangerous activities. Now we know who was telling him about it. Yep. So he said, "Oh, so you're Mephisto's spy."
Yep. So we officially found that out.
So moving on to the battle with the Hachiro monster form. They grab Shura, dive into the lake because he's like bound or like something to the lake, right?
Yeah, so he is... They. Dang. Oh, man, it's so... They are bound to that lake area, so they can't leave that area, which I think is what frustrated them even more with Shura leaving with Shiro, because his beloved takes off with somebody else and he's all alone.
It makes me kind of go back to how like the mind control messes with their own mind, because what do they think is going to happen if they pull Shura down to the bottom of the lake and she dies and doesn't give them another child? Like, yeah, that's where I think Hachiro just lost it, and it was just, maybe it's good that how it kind of turned out, but such a strange relationship, because after all that, Shura kind of sounded like she's like, "Oh, Hachiro." I'm like, I feel like this guy has only done you harm throughout your whole life, and like you feel bad for him somehow.
Yeah, she still cares about Hachiro. So she kind of, as he is grabbing onto her in his kind of beast form, if you want to go that route, she's just like, well, let's go down to the lake together, and I'll stay with you until you fall asleep. So basically, she's just kind of planning on giving up and drowning with Hachiro. Kind of. So, like, in a way, she cares about him, but it's very similar to, like, pretty much any abusive relationship, you think. Like, because it's obviously hurting Shura, but she cares still, so she still wants Hachiro to be at peace.
Okay, Satan Campfire. When does this happen in this, when he calls that out?
So they're in the lake already, and he hollers that out and stabs, and then fires light up all over the place, and he calls out his signature move, the Satan Campfire, which Shura actually named all of these different moves. So all the other guys were just kind of making fun of Rin, like, oh, those names are so lame.
Yeah, like I think it was Satan Slash or something. He called it like Satan Slash. Really, this is when he wasn't like. They just found out I think it's what like Satan's son or something was when they first found out he didn't like have moves, and then he called that out. They're like, seriously, you're like went from like keeping this a secret to now you're naming your moves, like just embracing this. But what I think is really neat here is this is sometimes kind of bugs me about anime a little bit, how everyone always has to scream out their attacks. It's like in real life, I know it's fake. I know anime's fake, but in real life, in MMA, like you're watching an MMA fight, people don't yell out their attacks before
Sucker
they're about
punch.
to. Yeah. So anyway, but Shira had a kind of neat point here where she said, well, it's like when, someone else is casting a spell, you have to chant this verse. It's like, it's the same thing for you. You have to, call this out. It helps you channel your energy to the. That kind of justifies all the calling out your attacks, at least in this series, this show.
Yeah. So once she hears that, Shura kind of snaps out of it and is able to cut herself free, which she cuts both Hachiro's tongues as well as her hair. And that scene kind of reminded me of Naruto, like back OG Naruto before Shippuden, when Sakura chops off all her hair.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah.
that kind of reminded me of that scene immediately.
It's like, who did it better?
Yeah. I mean, I think Shura was a little more cool.
Yeah, Shura is definitely a lot cooler and a lot more badass than Sakura at that point in time.
At least at that point,
Yeah,
if we want to keep the argument there. But so I thought that was a really epic thing. And like after Hachiro had just been like telling her how much they love her hair, it's beautiful, and like how beautiful she is, she just cuts it all off.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a symbolism of new beginnings for her.
Yeah, which it really is. Sure, like her life is going to be completely different now, completely different mindset, knowing that she's gonna grow into an old hag, as Rin, says at one point in the episode. She's gonna grow to be an old hag. So anyway, okay, so Hachiro is now defeated, right? So he reverts to this small snake and slithers away, and Shura, for some reason, feels kind of bad for him and asks that they just let him go, let him be. Which I still think is so strange. Like, they need to, of course, he's immortal, so I don't know if they would just capture him or how they would do that.
Yeah, so the Order is going to be keeping an eye on him
somehow.
So they're going to be watching for him. So they'll eventually track him down. Like,
Okay.
they're not just going to let him go.
Yeah.
But so they'll eventually like find him and be able to kind of keep an eye on him.
Well, I thought one of the characters had said something along the lines of, well, he's that small. How are you going to be able to find him or track him? So does that indicate that they are going to follow the snake away? Or did they keep track of that? Or is the Illuminati going to get to him?
Yeah, because they are after those regenerative abilities and like the immortality.
So I'm thinking with the Illuminati, if they can get their hands on that little snake going away, then make use of that regenerative abilities, because Lucifer's problem is the body he inhabits just sort of gets sick and kind of falls apart. But now that won't be a hurdle for him anymore if they get their hands on this. So I wonder if that's the direction that this might take eventually.
Yeah, that would be really interesting.
That would be a good topic for future podcast episodes, perhaps.
Absolutely.
But that's all for today's episode of The Kamado Show. I'm Brandon.
And I'm Coley. Thanks for tuning in. Don't be a Kamado. Like and subscribe to our channel for more anime fun with your favorite brother-sister anime duo.
Now, new episodes come out weekly, so let us know what you'd like us to talk about next. And we will see you next time on The Kamado Show.